It's time to lock in. We're talking SEC, college football, and more. This is AP as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama. This is AP As We See It, a weekly syndicated show discussing the Southeastern Conference, college football on the national scene, and other sports. Welcome to another edition of AP As We See It. We have 12 games on the slate this week, 4 conference games between the teams within the league. But before we get started on our conference games and our discussions and analysis and observations and thoughts, we'd like to thank the sponsors: Greer's Markets, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, serving the Gulf Coast and beyond for 109 years. We have Lucy's Famous Recipes that are online, and she has a book out. You can buy it online or in the store. Remember now, family, friends, and football is a winning tradition at Greer's. Score big savings at Greer's on fresh meats, produce, and more. Game day spreads, groceries to go. You can have them delivered to your home, office, venue of choice. Groceries to go. Check that online. They have the apples for students, which helps nearby schools with free supplies by dropping off your receipts. Make sure your school's involved. They have the coloring contest for children. Check online for the weekly ads. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. We'd also like to thank Robertsdale Dental Care, Dr. Jason Northcutt. Dr. Jason Northcutt, not only are basic services offered by Dr. Jason Northcutt, but he has developed a niche within the practice providing comprehensive dental implant services such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. Dr. Jason Northcutt has been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems. Come by to see Dr. Jason Northcutt and staff. Call 251-947-3636. And last, we'd like to also thank the Cortland Grand Hotel. They have the spacious rooms in downtown Atlanta, the indoor pool with the tropical serene setting right in the heart of Atlanta. They have restaurants, shops, gift shops, outstanding breakfast, cook to serve on the weekends. Ben Jackamur and staff do a terrific job with all their hospitality. So come by and see the Cortland Grand Hotel, Ben Jackamur and staff, the heart of Atlanta downtown. So we'd like to get to our first subject matters right now. Like I said, 4 conference games, 12 total games in the SEC. First, we're gonna discuss the Football Writers Association of America National Football Foundation Super 16 poll. I have a vote each week, so I'd like to go over my poll quickly. I had Penn State at the top, Georgia, Ohio State, Texas, Illinois, Oregon, LSU, Indiana, Miami, Notre Dame, South Carolina, Clemson at 12, Ole Miss 13, Iowa State 14, Tennessee 15, and Oklahoma 16. The actual 56 voters, they compiled their list, which is all of us that vote. They had Ohio State number 1, Penn State, LSU, Georgia, Oregon, Miami, Texas, Florida State, Illinois, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Clemson, Iowa State, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. So I just had a few differences in my poll. I didn't have Florida State. I had Indiana. So that's just a slight difference in the variation in my Super 16 poll for the Football Writers Association of America National Football Foundation. Also, we want to make mention the NCAA Oversight Committee. They have proposed a portal window of January 2nd to January 12th. It has to be approved, but I think in the near future that will probably happen. I'm not sure of the exact thinking, but maybe they had an idea that late in the playoffs situation, about 4 teams would have to deal with that. Maybe a couple more out of the 130 plus. So maybe they thought that was the best move they could make But I think some coaches object. Some coaches in the Big Ten object to that, but I think the SEC is on board. So anyway, let's get to our first game right now. Wisconsin of the Big Ten, 2-0, playing Alabama of the SEC. Alabama 1-1, 0-0 in the conference. Wisconsin beat Middle Tennessee State University last week, 42-10. They're not a very good team, so that was a big win for them. The series between Alabama and Wisconsin has the Crimson Tide in the lead, 2-1. They played last year up in Madison. Wisconsin's quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, was injured early in the ball game, and Alabama beat them handily. I believe it was 42-14, I think that was. But Alabama right now is a 20.5-point favorite. They beat University of Louisiana Monroe last week, 73-0. The quarterbacks literally had a field day. Ty Simpson, 17 for 7. Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, they all had a couple of touchdowns. Ty Simpson had 3, I believe. So it wasn't a very good defensive team, especially against the pass. So this is a big game for Alabama, of course, because they have one loss, non-conference loss. If they lose this game, they'd be 1-2 with 2 losses non-conference and have to really probably finish out the season undefeated, the rest of the ball games. But I think Alabama will probably take care of business. Wisconsin's quarterback, Billy Edwards Jr., was hurt in the first game against Miami of Ohio. Danny O'Neal, a transfer from San Diego State University, did very well coming on board that first game and then the second game. So far, he's 35 of 46 with 403 yards, 76%. 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Last week, he was hot, 23 for 27, 283 yards, 1 INT, 3 TDs, and 1 rushing touchdown. The defense for Wisconsin is pretty good. They've not played very good opponents, 179 yards per game. They surrender only 33 yards from the rush. Alabama's not a very good team running the football right now. Alabama's rush defense, suspect right now, 161 yards per game. That was inflated because of that Florida State game where they gave over 200 yards. So look for Wisconsin. They're going to run some trick plays, some reverses. They'll have a lot of people in motion, quick strike. Ryan Williams, the wide receiver for Alabama, is expected to play. Alabama, strange stat right now for them, 0 sacks so far. Wisconsin, they're shuffling players on that offensive line. The right side, I think, has 2 redshirted freshmen. So maybe Alabama can get some sacks this game and get after the quarterback. But I wouldn't sleep on that quarterback, Danny O'Neal, who was substituted for Billy Edwards Jr. had the knee sprain. He might play, but I think Danny O'Neal will probably get the start, and I'm not sure Billy Edwards Jr. will see any action for Wisconsin. But Alabama, they need to have a clean game. Not very many penalties, get to the quarterback, affect their quarterback, get that passing game going, see if they can get the ball to Ryan Williams and spread it around to the running backs, the tight ends, the wide receivers, see if they can run the football effectively, see if they can take command defensively. Alabama needs to do those types of things to get back on track. We know that University of Louisiana Monroe was not a significant opponent, but it was good for them to win. They ran up the score 73-0. So we'll see what happens. But Wisconsin, Luke Fickell, a very good coach. He made the playoffs when he was the head coach at Cincinnati, competed against Alabama in the playoffs. But Alabama needs to win this game. They're playing at home, 20.5 favorite. And these are the games where Kalen DeBoer, he's had some trouble. 4 losses as a double-digit favorite against teams that are not ranked. Okay, I think we're going to move to the Eastern Michigan, Kentucky game. Eastern Michigan 0-2. They lost to Long Island University 28-23. Kentucky 1-1, 0-1 in the conference. They lost last week to Ole Miss 30-23. They had the lead. The series is 2-0 in favor of Kentucky versus Eastern Michigan. Kentucky is a 24.5-point favorite. Kentucky's pass defense has a lot to be desired, 252 yards per game. Their pass offense, only 136 yards per game. You're going to see probably Cutter Boley, the redshirt freshman quarterback, play for Kentucky. Zach Calzada, he's trying to come back from injury. I think I anticipate both of those quarterbacks playing for Kentucky. Mark Stoops, not happy with his team, of course. They had a chance to win last week. Some issues they had, especially with the clock management. but they had the lead against Ole Miss, but they couldn't hold on for the victory. But they need to get back on track against Eastern Michigan, get this offense fired up, because it's going to be a long season for them if they can't throw the football or their quarterback can't be effective. Because when you're playing these teams that are very good up front and they're stout, they're strong, you can't run them over. I know Kentucky likes to run the football, and that's been his way of winning football games in the SEC. Mark Stoops, the head coach of Kentucky, but I think he realizes he's got to get his offense and be able to throw the football effectively, especially on third downs, be good in the red zone, because it's too much to put on your defense game after game where it's 3 and out, and you're just giving too many opportunities to some of these high-powered offenses that Kentucky will face down the road. They should win this game handily against Eastern Michigan, and I would say air it out. Give yourself a chance with your quarterbacks to see if they can get some rhythm with these receivers. So we're going to be right back after these messages with AP as we see it, and continue our discussion of all the SEC games and then some. We'll be right back after these messages. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. And we're back with AP as we see it, and we're going to continue our discussion of the SEC games. Next up is a big conference game, interesting conference game, I believe. The University of Arkansas Razorbacks will face the University of Mississippi and Oxford. Last year, Ole Miss just wore them out, about 30 points up in Arkansas. I think the score was 63-31. So Arkansas's got a lot on their mind. Some of those players returned. They wouldn't forget that game. So I know it's circled for them. But Arkansas is 2-0. They played Arkansas State, beat them 56-15. And last week, Ole Miss went on the road to Kentucky and won that game 30-23, as we stated. They're 2-0 and 1-0 in the conference. Ole Miss is a 9.5-point favorite. In that series, interestingly enough, Arkansas leads 38-32 and one tie between those teams. So I thought that was a stat that surprised me this week. But anyway, Arkansas's quarterback, Taylon Green, big quarterback, 6'5", 230. He has a chance to really improve his stock with NFL talent evaluators, and he can help his team with Arkansas. But he's a dual threat. He can put 150 yards on you rushing and a couple hundred yards passing as well. I'm looking for a big game from him because I think he has a memory of that ugly loss last year by 30 points. So Taylon Green of Arkansas, watch out for him this game. Ole Miss, their quarterback, young quarterback, Austin Simmons, very smart. I had a chance to visit with him, as I stated before, the Manning Passing Academy. So far, 33 of 55, 576 yards, 60%. He has a leg injury, but I think he's going to play. But the bad stat on his part is the 4 interceptions in just 2 games. So the fact that you're turning the ball over and giving it to a quarterback like Taylon Green, that's going to be an issue if that continues. Right now, I can tell you. Ole Miss, the rush defense, not very good. It's only a small sample, 2 games, 181 yards per game. They surrender. So Arkansas, they're very good. Both teams over 500 yards offense per game. So it's probably going to be a high-scoring game, maybe over 60 points between them. Arkansas's rush offense, like I stated, very good, 250 yards per game. So that's an area we have to watch. The rush defense of Ole Miss surrendering 181. Arkansas's offense able to have a 250 yards rushing per game. I think that Arkansas, as Sam Pittman said on the weekly SEC coaches teleconference, he's looking for the interior defensive line to contribute more and make some plays. Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin, he thought, and he stated this week, that Arkansas improved their speed on the defensive side. So that should bode well for the Razorbacks. Now, I don't know if they can go on the road and beat a team like Ole Miss, but it would be significant. Now, in the event that Austin Simmons cannot start the game or they have to take him out, there's an interesting substitute they have. Division II championship quarterback, Ferris State, that's in Michigan. His name is Trinidad Chambliss, and he threw for over 3,000 yards last year. I believe he had over 1,000 yards rushing. So he's a very talented quarterback, used to winning. So Lane Kiffin, he scoured the country, and he brought in this quarterback from Ferris State. He played a little bit last week, and he did fine, but that's something to watch. And just in case Austin Simmons is not able to play this weekend for the Ole Miss team. Division II championship quarterback. He's not very big, he's about 6 foot, but he's very effective. But I just think that Taylon Green, he's circled this game on his calendar, and I think he's going to have a lot of production against Ole Miss because of that rush defense. I think he's going to be very difficult to manage. In all dual threat quarterbacks, it's a tough task for defenses to guard against the pass, and then you're playing man-to-man, you're turning your back, and the quarterback takes off down the lanes. If they don't have that lane integrity, the defensive line, and they're able to make a lot of yardage. Ole Miss, like I said, small sample. They're minus 1.5 in the turnover category, mainly because of those 4 interceptions in 2 games by Austin Simmons. But he's quite talented. So maybe he worked in practice this week, and Lane Kiffin will cut down on those turnovers for his Ole Miss offense. But I think it should be a high-scoring game. Like I said, Ole Miss 9.5 point favorite. Some places 7 points in that range, in that neighborhood. But look for a good ball game in Oxford between Arkansas Razorbacks and Ole Miss. Moving to the next game, South Alabama out of the Sun Belt Conference. They're 1-1. They lost to Tulane in a tough ball game, 35-33. Their head coach, Major Applewhite, he's very familiar in the world of college football, the former Texas quarterback. They're playing Auburn for the first time. And I'm glad the 2 schools are playing. Auburn plays the in-state teams. Auburn University will play in-state teams. The University of Alabama will not anymore. At one time they did years ago. Auburn's 2-0 at this point. Auburn's pass defense is not very good right now, 245 yards per game. Their rush defense, excellent, only 30 yards per game. So that their pass defense is suspect. Now, the South Alabama's rush defense surrenders about 204 yards per game. Auburn's rush offense, 265 yards per game. So that could be a problem for the Jaguars. So Auburn might have the edge there, of course. In the 2 games so far, the USA quarterback, University of South Alabama quarterback, he's 29 for 38, 397 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Bishop Davenport, he was a transfer from Utah State, 6'2", 210 pounds. So he's a capable quarterback. And I would not sleep on South Alabama this game because Major Applewhite, he's a very good offense, has a very good offensive mind. And like I said, there's that pass defense of Auburn is not very good at this point in the season. They're trying to get it together. They're young, some transfers, but with the passing game, all you need is one missed assignment. It's a long touchdown. That's what makes it so difficult if you're not coordinated and cohesive with that unit. It's very critical. Just like the offensive line, one person misses a block, the quarterback's in trouble. You can't operate. You can't function. Same with the defensive backs. The defensive line missed some tackles, linebackers, but the secondary, they can make some tackles if a running back slips through. But with those pass patterns and the complicated offenses and the receivers and tight ends and running backs all involved in the offense of passing game, one slip up and it's a long touchdown and your defense is off the field and the other team has 7 points. So just watch out for that part of the game for Auburn if they could counter South Alabama's offensive passing game. But Auburn should be able to keep the ball on the ground and keep that Jaguar offense on the sideline. So maybe that's their best defense. Auburn's rush game in this ball game. So Jackson Arnold and company, that we know they can run the football. That first game against Baylor, they had 300 yards rushing. So let's watch out for that. Let's move on to the next game. We have Alcorn State out of the SWAC. playing Mississippi State. Alcorn lost to Alabama A&M. Mississippi State with a great victory for that program. Jeff Lebby and company come from behind, beat Arizona State out of the Big 12, 24-20. Sam Levitt, excellent quarterback for Arizona State. Blake Shapen, 19 for 33, 279 yards, 3 touchdowns. That was a terrific win for them, not only because they came on the right side of the score, but defensively. They were dead last year. I mean, they couldn't tackle anybody, guard anybody. They couldn't spell defense, as I always say. But they were able to play enough defense to beat a playoff team last year, and Arizona State's definitely a playoff contender this year. So the goal line stand. So MSU, they're looking to be more consistent. They had a few drops, Jeff Lebby said in the teleconference. So looking to be more consistent with the wide receiver unit and the tight ends as well. And then they're defensively looking for more depth this year. That's a work in progress. But that was a very, very, very impressive win by the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And I don't think you can count yourself with a victory this year against Mississippi State because of that defense. Let's see how well they play when they get into conference play. But if you have some defense, you'll have a chance. And I think that Blake Shapen, if he stays healthy, he was injured last year, they could have the chance to win some ball games and make an improvement with their record-wise under Jeff Lebby and company. So watch out for them. We'll just discuss one more game before we go to break. Louisiana Lafayette 1-1. They beat McNeese State 34-10 out of the Sun Belt. They're playing Missouri. Mizzou is 2-0, 0-0 in the conference, of course. They beat Kansas. I covered that game, and you can check out all the interviews we had on our YouTube channel. And Missouri is a 27.5-point favorite. This is the first meeting. It's really another tune-up game for them. Missouri, they're looking to shore up that play action pass defense, which was not very good against Kansas. They were behind by a couple scores, came back to win at home in Columbia. Bo Pribula versus Kansas, 30-39, 77%, 3 TDs. He was sacked a few times, so his rushing was not good, 9 attempts, 6 yards. But Missouri's a team to watch out for this year. Need more consistency, but so far in the Eli Drinkwitz, it's been very good. So watch out for Mizzou Tigers. They should win this game handily, playing Louisiana Lafayette out of the Sun Belt, 27.5-point favorite. So we're going to continue with our discussions of all the games, and we'll be right back after these messages with another segment of AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. And we're back with AP as we see it, and we'll be continuing our discussion of the SEC slate of games. But before we move on, we'd like to remind our audience to check out our social media platforms at Facebook, Instagram, X account, Spotify, and our YouTube channel, AP as we see it, and also my personal platforms at AP Stedham. So just check all our platforms. We have all the interviews, all the photos, the links when we cover games week to week. So last week we were at Kansas, Missouri, so you can check those interviews out and photos. And we try to show everybody all the atmosphere and pageantry at all the college football games and events that we cover. So make sure you check out our social media platforms. We also like to pay a special tribute to our sponsors, Greer's Markets, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. Robertsdale Dental Care, Dr. Jason Northcutt and his staff do a tremendous job. Call them at 251-947-3636. And also the Cortland Grand Hotel, downtown Atlanta, where Ben Jacquemeyer and his staff are very hospitable, and they're right in the heart of town and downtown Atlanta, and have all the shops and the indoor pool in the spacious rooms. So the Cortland Grand Hotel downtown Atlanta. So let's continue our discussion. We're going to be looking at number 11, Oklahoma, going on the road to Temple, way up north in Philadelphia. These two teams have played 3 times, a couple times in the 40s, and then last year, Oklahoma welcomed the Temple Owls to Norman. Oklahoma won that ball game 51-3. So Oklahoma is 2-0. They beat Michigan last week, 24-13. Michigan from the Big Ten. The Temple Owls beat Howard 55-7. For this ball game, Oklahoma's a 24.5-point favorite. Now, Temple has a brand new coach, came on board about 9 months ago, Casey Keeler. He's been involved in 9 championships at various levels. I know at Delaware for certain. I think last he coached at Sam Houston State. So, but he's very familiar with that area of the country, Philadelphia. He'll probably do an excellent job in the future in recruiting players and developing talent. But like I say, somebody who's been involved in 9 championship games, knows about winning and building and developing a team. But Brent Venables and company, they should win this game handily. The Oklahoma rush offense is 102 yards per game, which is not very much. And one of the reasons is their star player they recruited from the University of California in the transfer portal, he's been injured. He's not healthy. He's been involved in 2 games, only 5 attempts, 6 yards overall. But he had 2,000 yards before he arrived in Norman, caught 95 passes, a very unique and special ball player. And I've always said, and I'll repeat it, I think that John Mateer, the quarterback from Washington State, and Jaden Ott, the University of California running back, was probably the best offensive duo to be in the transfer portal and end up at the same school. So John Mateer last week, 21 of 34, 270 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. He rushed 19 times for 74 yards with 2 touchdowns. So that was a big victory for not only Oklahoma in the Southeastern Conference, but also the league itself. It's one of those pendulum games that when the College Football Playoff Selection Committee is considering teams for the playoff berths, the 12 berths, that's an important ball game, Michigan. And so they were fortunate to win 24-13. And Oklahoma should win this game, a non-conference game against Temple out of the American Conference, Temple University. Moving on to the next game, interesting game of Vandy versus South Carolina. Vandy 2-0 at this point. They beat Virginia Tech 44-20, and we'll remember that score in a second for various reasons. Number 12, South Carolina, 2-0. They beat South Carolina State 38-10. They started out very slow. Shane Beamer was not happy. They were losing 3-0 early. The game was delayed. These teams have played 34 times. South Carolina's won 30, lost 4. South Carolina's a 5.5-point favorite. But there's a little twist to this ball game because, as I said, Virginia Tech won the ball game 44-20 in Blacksburg. Vandy won the ball game against Virginia Tech in Blacksburg 44-20. And South Carolina beat Virginia Tech in Atlanta, neutral site, 24-11. So that's a pretty big difference right there. And Vanderbilt, the interesting part of the contest against Virginia Tech and Blacksburg, they were losing at halftime 20-10 and scored 34 points in the second half, shut out the Hokies 34-zip. Final score 44. Or they played them 44-20, so they shut them out in the second half. So that's remarkable defense by Vandy and the resurgence of their offense for the second half. Diego Pavia, he's a very special quarterback, as we said in the past. And I think he's just one of the better leaders in the country, as I've always stated. Physically not very big or impressive. Statistically, he doesn't overwhelm you, but he's a winner. And he has Eli Stowers, which he calls, and I think his coach says probably the best tight end in America, Eli Stowers, 6'4", 215. He had transferred from Texas A&M and possibly somewhere else. But Vanderbilt is a 5.5-point underdog against South Carolina, but I'd be careful about this game if I was South Carolina, because Vanderbilt believes they can win, and South Carolina, they're trying to repeat last year's performance overall with their record and be a little better and make the college football playoff. South Carolina, 3 special teams TDs in 2 games, the first 2 games. Vanderbilt, they have 2 dynamic return people as well. Vandy has a stout defense, and so this is 2 dynamic quarterbacks. Lenore Sellers of South Carolina, big, 6'4", 230 pounds, physically impressive, can throw the deep ball. He can run by you, around you, through you. He's very talented, big and strong. So Vanderbilt and South Carolina, that's an excellent ball game if you're looking for something to watch on Saturday. I'd watch out for that ball game. Now we go to the next ball game. This is the biggest one on the slate within the conference, probably within one of the games within the country, actually. Number 4, Georgia versus number 16, Tennessee. Georgia 2-0. They beat Austin Peay last week, 28-6. Tennessee 2-0. They beat East Tennessee State University, scored a school record 72 points, 72-17. This series is in favor of Georgia, 29-23, and 2 ties. So really, I think it's going to be a case of Tennessee's offense with Aguilar, the transfer from Appalachian State, 5 minutes at UCLA for a few months there, versus the Georgia defense. Kirby Smart, he's an excellent defensive coach. Josh Heupel knows offense as well as anyone, tries to play that up-tempo at times. Both teams average 200-plus rushing yards. Both teams, their rushing defense is less than 100. So we're going to see what happens when those 2 offenses go against each other's defense. Both teams, their pass offenses 240 or more. Georgia at 240-plus, Tennessee at 350-plus. The pass defense for Georgia, 140-plus, Tennessee 220-plus. So this is a big ball game for the conference, Georgia and Tennessee. I suspect that Josh Heupel, and I just have a suspicion that Tennessee is going to have a good chance to win this ball game because I like their quarterback, Aguilar. Like I said, he's an upgrade over Nico Iamaleava from last year, and he's not very accurate percentage-wise, but he's effective, and he can get the ball down the field. And he's throwing for thousands of yards while he was at Appalachian State. So he's a veteran quarterback, knows how to play the position. And people always bring up the skills of a quarterback. They can run and they can throw long distances, but you have to be able to play the position. And I think Aguilar is somebody who knows how to play the position. And I think he's probably going to improve under Josh Heupel, who knows how to coach the position. But this is a big ball game for the conference, Georgia and Tennessee. Can they afford to lose either team? I believe so. I believe they can, because I think a team in the SEC with 2 losses is going to be maybe one of the 4 teams possibly out of that league that earns a berth in the college football playoff as one of the 12 teams. But like I said, I think if it's a big, huge battle between Tennessee's offense and Georgia's defense. Now, Gunnar Stockton of Georgia, Zachariah Branch, the transfer from USC, has improved that passing game, I believe. And if the Georgia receivers as a core, as a unit, could hold on to the football, last year, as we've noted in the preseason, they dropped the most passes in America. That's hard to believe. And plus, they still won the conference. Think about that. Rushed. They were maybe in the 90s. They ended up overall nationally, had the most drops, but played good defense and won the conference and earned a berth into the college football playoffs. They were defeated by double digits by Notre Dame by 10 points, but they still made the playoffs. So Georgia's a team, even though they don't look pretty sometimes on offense, their defense is able to keep them in the ball game. So maybe it comes down to if Tennessee gets the ball one more time, they scores and beats Georgia, or maybe Georgia stops them late in the ball game. But we know I think it's going to be competitive over the years. These last few years, I think Georgia has beaten them by 30-plus points at Knoxville, actually. So it hasn't been that favorable. The home team, Tennessee, they really have not been competitive. It has not been a close contest. But anyhow, we're going to be right back after these messages with another segment of AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. And we're back with AP as we see it. In our last segment, we're going to be discussing 3 games that we want to remind our audience to check our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, X account, Spotify, YouTube channel, AP as we see it, and on my personal sites at AP Stedham. We have all the interviews and the photos from the weekend's past games. We'll be headed this weekend to Baton Rouge for the big matchup between the University of Florida Gators versus the LSU Tigers. Conference game, big rivalry between those two teams, early matchup. And we want to thank our sponsors as well, Greer's Markets. Remember, family, friends, and football is a winning tradition at Greer's. Score big savings on fresh meats, produce, and more with game day spreads. Go to Groceries to Go. You have it delivered to your home, your office, any venue of your choice. The apples for students help your nearby school with free supplies by dropping off your receipts at the counter. The coloring contest for the children. Check the weekly ads. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. We'd also like to mention Robertsdale Dental Care, Dr. Jason Northcutt. Make sure you give his office a call at 251-947-3636. And also the Cortland Grand Hotel in downtown Atlanta. When you're staying in Atlanta, check out that outstanding property with Ben Giacomo and his staff. They're always very hospitable and have all the things that you need, and it's right in the downtown heart of Atlanta. So we just like to continue these last few games. UTEP, University of Texas El Paso, out of the Conference USA, they're 1-1. They beat UT Martin 42-17. They're playing the University of Texas, number 7 rated in our FWAA NFF Super 16 poll. Last week, Texas rebounded with a 38-7 win over San Jose State. This ball game, Texas is a 41.5-point favorite in the series. Texas leads 6 wins to 0 losses versus the University of Texas El Paso. Texas has 1 sack so far, a couple of tackles for a loss. They're trying to get higher. They're trying to cut down on the number of penalties for sure, and they'll continue the development of Arch Manning, the quarterback at the University of Texas. UTEP's pass defense surrenders 264 yards per game, so Arch Manning and company probably have a big ball game down in Austin, Texas, with that matchup. The matchup between those two state teams. The next game we're going to discuss is a non-conference game for Texas A&M against a national opponent, Notre Dame. Texas A&M is 2-0. They beat Utah State 44-22. They're going to be traveling to South Bend, Indiana, to face number 9 Notre Dame. Notre Dame is 0-1. They had a bye last week. They lost to Miami in a close ball game down in South Florida, 27-24. Notre Dame leads this series 4-2. Notre Dame's rush offense in just one game, 93 yards, total offense 314 versus Miami. Texas A&M, their rushing offense is very good at 171. Their pass offense, 305 yards per game. Notre Dame's rush defense, it was only that one sample, 134 yards. They surrendered against Miami. The pass defense, 205 yards per game. So Marcus Freeman, the head coach, and Mike Elko, we know that Mike Elko is a defensive coach, likes to run the football, hard-nosed, likes to compete at that line of scrimmage to give his offense a chance to move the ball and let his defense rest. And so that should be an interesting game. Notre Dame is a 7-point favorite. Texas A&M, like I said, big game for them. Notre Dame went down there last year and beat them the opening game, so they're trying to return the favor by traveling to South Bend. I'm sure they have a big crowd of Texas A&M fans there because they've only played 6 times, and I'm not sure if Texas A&M has played them at South Bend. I know in bowl games before down at College Station, so maybe this is the first time, possibly. But we want to move on to the game that I'll be covering. University of Florida Gators versus the LSU Tigers in Baton Rouge. Number 3 LSU. Florida 1-1. They lost. Were upset last week. Double digit favorite loss to University of South Florida, 18-16. Couldn't get many points on the board. Believe it or not, this series is tied. 34 wins for Florida, 34 wins for LSU, 3 ties. LSU beat Louisiana Tech last week, 23-7. LSU is an 8.5-point favorite. I don't think they weren't happy, according to Brian Kelly, and the players were not satisfied with that 23-7 win over Louisiana Tech. So I'm sure they were probably looking ahead to University of Florida, whether consciously or subconsciously. Those things do happen. So let's not kid ourselves or our audience. We like to keep it real here with AP as we see it. LSU's rush offense, 118 yards per game. Their scoring offense, only 20 points per game. We know that they had the impressive victory on the road the first week of the season against the Clemson Tigers, 17-10. LSU's offensive line, they're looking to develop over time. They're moving people around. Offensively, their pass offense, LSU is 242 yards per game. Florida's rush defense is 82 yards per game. Pass defense 156. DJ Lagway, we said it in the preseason, their quarterback DJ Lagway would have to play well for Florida to be successful this year. They have that gauntlet of a schedule, and they lost in South Florida. That didn't help the cause. But Florida's pass offense has surrendered or has gained 236 yards per game. Their rush offense, 166. But last week, they couldn't put the points on the board. LSU's rush defense is only allowing 44 yards per game. Their pass defense, 163 yards per game. It looks like that LSU has a defense this year. And I'm basing that on the fact that they held Clemson to only 10 points in Death Valley at Clemson. So that was significant because they have a veteran quarterback in Cade Klubnik. This is his 3rd year. He had dramatic improvement from last year. Clemson has some good receivers. They were healthy. And I have them highly ranked in the poll to start the season, but they shut them down, only 10 points, and won that ball game. That was huge, not only for LSU, but for the conference. As I said, that's a pendulum-type game. And so I think LSU, 8.5-point favorite. I believe they're going to win this ball game. Florida, I'm not sure what's going to happen if they can make a miraculous recovery as they did last year, because they beat LSU and Ole Miss near the end of the season, won 4 or 5 games at the end of the season, won the bowl game, and Billy Napier and company, they were able to survive. Well, it's going to be quite a task to maintain his status as the head coach of the Florida Gators since he lost that game to South Florida. They had to play Texas and Georgia and some other teams in the Southeastern Conference. Just a very difficult schedule. Miami, Florida State. So the 3 Florida teams, South Florida beat them straight out. Miami, we know they're a good ball club. They beat Notre Dame down in South Florida. And we know Florida State, they beat Alabama by double digits in Tallahassee. So Florida, I'm not sure how Billy Napier is going to survive, but there's a lot of football to be played. Strange things have happened. I wouldn't give up on my team if I was Florida. You've seen it happen last year. Can they duplicate that effort by recovering after having a bad start to the season? I'm not sure. But Florida and LSU, they're playing this weekend. LSU is rated number 3 in the FWAA NFF Super 16 poll. I don't have them that high myself, but I know LSU is a good team. And like I said, I believe they have a better defense this year because they shut down that high-powered Clemson offense. And Clemson struggled again last week. So I don't know about Clemson as well. They're projected to win the ACC, but they haven't shown very well on the offensive side of the ball. Dabo Swinney can't be happy, but that's another conference. But anyway, the SEC was successful, and these conference games are every game is important, but the conference games, when you can beat your rival, the alumni, the fans, they can be slightly forgiving if you lose a non-conference game. But LSU's a team, I think their destiny is the college football playoff. You don't bring in somebody like Brian Kelly and pay him $100 million and not make the playoff, especially when you have 12 teams that earn berths. So LSU is looking to make the playoffs. I think they've got a good chance. Garrett Nussmeier is an outstanding quarterback, one of the best in the conference, quite possibly one of the best in the country, and he always has good receivers. They don't run the ball very well, and so if they can do two things this year, run the ball a little more effectively and play solid defense. They don't have to be the best defense in the conference, but to ensure that they can earn a berth in the playoffs, they have to play the type of defense that will keep their offense in the game. They just can't rely on the offense to just run up the score against some of these better defenses they're going to play moving down the schedule. But if LSU can play defense this year, they've got an excellent chance, in my opinion, to make the 12-team college football playoffs. But this is a start for them, hosting the Florida Gators, who had suffered from that double-digit underdog upset by the University of South Florida. That's the type of game that gets coaches fired. As we saw already, Kalen DeBoer, Alabama, he has a tendency to lose those types of games, but Alabama's going to have a chance this weekend to gain some momentum by playing Wisconsin out of the Big Ten. Luke Fickell and company, he's an excellent coach. They have probably the second-string quarterback, Alabama, looking for Ty Simpson to probably do something. But I think you're going to see Alabama play with multiple quarterbacks. But anyhow, that's another edition of AP as we see it. And we went around the horn for all the 12 games, four conference games. And we'll see you next week with another edition of AP as we see it.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.